Welcome back to my channel. We're going for a bit of a family walk today. It's like plus 10, plus 11 degrees Celsius out, so it's so nice, even though we have all the snow. You can hear the birds. They're just like out like crazy right now. It's like 3:30, 4 o'clock in the afternoon now. And I was gonna record this through most of the walk, but then my brother called and I talked to him for like 20 minutes. So now I'm out of breath going up and down all these crazy hills and everything like that. And we got 6 kids with us running around, the 2 puppies, me and my husband. So I'm sweating now from going up and down all these hills and everything like that. But welcome to Alberta when it's plus 10, snow everywhere, and you're out for a walk sweating. Anyways, I wanted to do a video talking about the Bromance book club books, the 3 books. I read them in February. I think I may have read the 3rd one a little bit into March, but I read them for the month of love. And I know a lot of people really like them, and they thought like, well, the 2nd one's not as great, or the 3rd one's not as great, or whatever, but ultimately I ended up enjoying all 3 books. And I really wanted to sit down and talk to them a little bit, and I've been trying to think of like what I want to do with this channel and when it comes to talking about books and stuff like that. So I was thinking of like trying to bring in like biblical principles and a bit of my faith and stuff like that, especially with the secular or non-religious books that I've been reading. So I just wanted to talk about that a little bit. And with the first Bromance book club, if you're not aware, it's about trying to save a marriage. And I thought that was really, really cool, because normally when you read a romance, it is a couple meeting for the first time. 2 people meeting for the first time and like their journey. So I really liked reading about the saving of a marriage. Anyways, I was hoping to do this outside with the nice scenery and the birds chirping and everything like that, but I'm exhausted and out of breath and stuff like that, so I will record more of this later. Double Starbucks day. So my last video, I showed you guys Natasha Romanoff. This is Piggy Carter. Look at her little spots. So she's our more skittish mouse, but they were all just sleeping, and I went and like pulled open they sleep under like that little wooden castle thing. So I started this video for the Bromance book club kind of like review, thoughts, chat video thing while going for a walk outside in nature, and it was like plus 10 degrees and it was so just nice and warm and awesome. And now it is back to being like minus 20 degrees Celsius in the mornings, tons and tons of snow, all that fun stuff. So we're inside, we're getting cozy. I got my long sleeve shirt on, even though I just pulled out like all my tank tops because it was like so warm, and I'm like, yay, warm weather. No, don't bite me in the face. She's not making noise the way Natasha was. So I didn't write any thoughts down or anything like that about the Bromance book club, and I read all 3 of them like bang, bang, bang in a row. So like the stories all just kind of meshed together. They're all very different. And the first one takes place between Thea, I believe is how you say her name, Thea, Thea, and Gavin. And then the second one takes place featuring Thea's sister, and the guy who started the Bromance book club, men reading romance books. Yeah, his name is Brandon Mack. And then the third one is like a friend of Liv's, who's the sister Thea, her sister Liv, and then a friend Alexis. And the love interest in that is like a hacker guy that Mac knows in the second book that he uses for part of this takedown that they're trying to do. Basically like the Me Too movement type thing happens in the second book. Anyways, I kind of wanted to focus a little bit more on the first book, the Bromance book club, with Thea and Gavin, and that one is kind of like a second chance romance. It is about saving your marriage, and they have twin daughters Now, when I read this book, I read it as an ebook from my library, and then I was also listening to Rafe. So Rafe is like a male nanny, and he gets asked to fill in for this single mom who just like very suddenly loses her nanny very suddenly, and she's got 2 twin daughters that I think are 6. And then in the Bromance Book Club, they have 2 twin daughters that are 3, and all 4 are girls, 2 sets of girls, and they all had A names, and I was like, this was a bad idea. The stories were separate enough that I could keep like the stories different, but yeah, the 4 kids, I was like, oh my gosh, this is confusing. And they were both starting, like, the 6-year-olds were starting their first day of like kindergarten, and the 3-year-olds were like going to preschool, like all this stuff. So I was like, that's not a great idea. So if you're choosing to read 2 books at the same time, try and make them different genres, and hopefully they don't have similar or same names. Anyways, so what I really liked about the Bromance Book Club, especially the first one talking about the marriage, is that today's culture, and it's been going on for a long time, divorce isn't anything new, but divorce is so prevalent. And you see in the beginning of this book, Thea is dealing with, like, they just separated. There was like this big fight. There was like this embarrassing thing happened, and so the book starts with him in a hotel, Gavin, and he's like a Major League Baseball player, so he has good money. They're rich. And so he's staying in a hotel because she didn't necessarily kick him out, but he was angry about something, and then he was sleeping in the bedroom, and then in the spare bedroom, and then he moved into this hotel, and Brandon Mack, the guy who started the Bromance Book Club, has him and a couple of these other guys come together and basically like pick him up off the floor after his like drinking binge all night and being like, okay, we're bringing you into the Bromance Book Club and we're teaching you all about this and we're gonna save your marriage. And then she's angry, and you know how like when you're married or have been with somebody for a really long time, you're like, hey, let's do this project, or let's, you know, renovate the bathroom, or let's knock down this wall and make the kitchen and living room like a single, like one big room, open concept kind of thing, especially like in the older houses anyways. But you know, like you always have like this project you want to do, and you're always telling your husband or your long-term partner or whatever, like, let's do this, let's do this, let's do this, and it just keeps getting pushed off. You know, life, twin girls, 3 years old, you know, you're busy. He's a Major League Baseball player, so for a lot of the time he's out like traveling for the games and stuff like that, away games, and then on the off season, you know, they're training and just things like that, right? She's angry and she just has this sledgehammer and she's like, I wanted this wall taken down, smash, right? Like just banging down this wall because she's mad, and she's like, I'm finally doing it, right? So, and then her sister walks in, and since Gavin had moved out, her sister Liv had moved into the basement, into their like another like spare room that they have in the basement, and she's like, yeah, it's about time, and she's like smashing the wall. And then the little girls come in, like the sister had brought them back, their auntie had brought them back from like ballet class or something like that, and they're like, what's going on, mommy, why are you smashing the wall? But the sister is like so mad at Gavin for just like basically like, because you know, in these stories, in order to have conflict, you have to have like bad communication skills. And she's just like, he left, he's a terrible person, I hate him. And this is something I want to mention about marriage and like marriage counseling and stuff like that. I am not a marriage counselor. I have gone to marriage counseling, pre-marriage counseling, and a little bit of marriage counseling a few years into our marriage. There's nothing wrong with going to counseling. It's always good. Like if you're having an issue you just can't work out, and it's like a major issue that you need help with and you need a third party, go get counseling. Don't allow a small issue to become this big, huge mountain in your marriage that could like destroy your marriage over like some little issue. And if you're having troubles, a lot of times people say like a lot of problems that people go to marriage counseling for, it's actually a personal problem that's affecting the relationship. Like maybe I have something going on from my past or whatever, some kind of like triggering thing that my husband, you know, like I heard on like a podcast before, like the husband would leave his shoes out and the wife would just like freak out or whatever. And it's like, why are you getting this upset about the shoes being out? But there was something in her past with some sexual abuse that happened in like a closet, and like, I don't know, it was very confusing. But like sometimes there's a personal problem going on that's affecting your marriage. So sometimes you need personal counseling. Sometimes it is just like dumb relationship stuff. Like you're arguing over like what the temperature of your house should be set at, right? Or what way the toilet paper roll should go. Like those are not, if those are major things that are like breaking apart your marriage, then you need counseling. But you shouldn't need counseling just to figure out which way to put the toilet paper roll, right? But if you're having some issues and you just need a third party, go to a counselor. A counselor is a great idea. Even at like, especially if you're a part of a faith community and maybe you can get like a free counseling session, or maybe whether you're part of the faith community or not, maybe there's a counselor in town that does like a couple of free sessions or whatever, or like you have benefits that will cover so much. Go take advantage of it and get the help that you need while you can. Don't allow your marriage to implode because like you're not willing to go get help. Anyways, just what I want to say is that I am not a counselor. I haven't gone for counseling. I've read a lot of books about marriage. I've listened to a lot of podcasts about marriage, a lot of sermons and stuff like that about marriage. I have a layman's terms and just personal experience. What I want to say about having a third party with a counselor, they're an unbiased, neutral third party. They don't have an investment like with me and Sebastian. They don't have an investment with me or with Sebastian. They're just neutral and they can hear me out and they can hear Sebastian out and then come like help us come to a conclusion together. If you're going like, I don't have a sister, I have a brother. But if I went to my brother and was like, Sebastian's doing this to me and Sebastian's doing that to me and blah, 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 his natural reaction is going to be like, well, you're my sister and I love you and I want to protect you. My husband also has a brother. So if he went to his brother and was like, me and Becky are fighting about this stuff, blah, 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 his brother's going to be like, well, you're my brother. I want to protect you. You're right, obviously. We tend to side with the people that we know and we love. And even if it's just like a really close friend, maybe not even necessarily like a sibling, but a close friend, but especially with a sibling or parents. If I go to my parents and start bitching about my husband, that's not fair, because the next time that me and my husband go over there together, or my parents come over to my house or whatever, they're gonna be like, oh, well, Becky told us about these terrible things that you did, and it's just not a good time. So don't go and confide in like your parents or siblings and stuff like that with these deep issues that you should be going to like a counselor for. Now, that being said, I think that we need mentoring as couples, and you could have an older mentor couple. Again, I don't think it should be somebody like my in-laws have been married for 2025 will be 50 years. So they've been married for a long time and they have some knowledge and they're Christians and they've gone through a lot of things in their marriage and a lot of ups and a lot of downs, and they have a really strong faith. So they'd be a great mentor couple for me and Sebastian. But again, they're part of our family. So we are pretty open with them, and being Christians and stuff like that, we're like, we know that we can go to them and ask for prayer and things like that. But still, sometimes you just don't want to talk to your parents, like say you're having problems in the bedroom. Maybe that's not something you want to bring up with your mother or mother-in-law, right? So having somebody outside your family as a mentor couple is a good thing. And those are the kind of things that you want to go to for things that aren't necessarily like you need professional counseling for, like the toilet paper roll situation, or even like little things in, like if you're having problems in the bedroom. It could be something like, I want to have sex 7 days a week and she only wants to have sex 7 times a month, right? So that could cause major problems, but it's something that, you know, an older, more mature couple, and older in their relationship. So they could be like chronologically, years wise, they could be younger than you, but maybe they've been in their relationship longer. So they could give you some advice that could help before needing to go for professional counseling. And if your problem is that one person wants to have sex 7 days a week, if the other person is happy having sex like once a week, I could do a whole other video about that. But anyways, that's something you can go to friends for and kind of talk about, but it has to be like a mutual friend and it's like a couple situation. So this whole like situation with Thea and Liv hating on Gavin, it was really hard to see because there was times like Gavin is like fighting to get his marriage back, to get Thea back, and to fix the problems that happened in the relationship. And Liv is like, no, I hate him. Don't fall for his tricks. He's just doing this because blah, 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 right? Like, she was just like anti-Gavin. And that was really unfair, I think, to Thea. I think Thea needed somebody outside of the family outside of the immediate situation who was a little bit less biased about it to talk to and to help her through these things. And it could have been, in this situation, a friend that she wasn't super close to. Like, Liv is not only her sister and had gone through a lot of things growing up together that really impacted their adult lives. She was Liv was living with them in the house and seeing how emotional Thea was being with Gavin being gone and going through like basically a breakup or a separation and a potential breakup of the whole marriage. So Liv was seeing all this stuff. So of course she was even like more protective of Thea because of it. So I was kind of like mad at Liv a little bit. Like, Kay, you need to back off. She's trying to fix her marriage. Like, think about the kids. They're 3 years old. They want their mom and dad together. Think about the impact this is going to have on them. And I wanted to put in like a little caveat here, a warning kind of thing here. If you're in a marriage and it's abusive, verbally, physically, mentally, emotionally, whatever, then you need to separate and get help, and you need to be safe. But there are times that people separate and it's over little things, or little things that have become big things, or things that could have been solved had they gone to counseling first, and now they're separating and it's like their marriage is practically over things that could have been fixed had they gone for help sooner. Even if you're going through a period of separation, don't think that necessarily your marriage is over, and you can take steps to possibly fix this. Again, every situation is different. I'm not a professional counselor. You're not talking to me about your very specific situation. But I'm just saying, like, don't just think because you're separated that automatically means it's over. I am very pro-marriage and very pro, like, trying everything you possibly can to fix and keep that marriage intact. And I believe that the enemy is trying to destroy marriages. And the Bible says, like, what God has brought together, let no man separate. And when you say your vows, you're saying for better and worse, richer or poorer, sickness and health, until death parts you. So I'm not saying that, I'm not here to talk about like if divorce is a sin or whatever like that. I'm not here to say like if you get divorced you're doomed and like God wants nothing to do with you and God can't help you. I'm not saying any of that stuff, and I'm not saying that divorce is never called for, or that a separation isn't called for your safety, mental health, physical safety, whatever. Like I said, I'm not here to give you personalized advice. If you want to talk to me, please send me a DM, send me a comment, find me on Instagram or Twitter. My information is down below in the box. If you want like again, I'm not a counselor, but if you want somebody to personally talk to you, then send me a private message and I will. But just generally speaking, if you're going through a hard time, and even if you need separation, and I believe that separation can be a good thing depending on the situation, and sometimes you need really hard consequences to get through a really difficult time in your marriage. Again, private message me if you want to talk about that. Been there, done that, okay? Me and my husband will be celebrating 11 years of marriage this May and being together 14 years in July. So, you know, we've been there, done that. So if you want to talk to me, please send me a message. But I just really, really like how this played out in the Bromance Book Club. I really like that the men were very involved in helping Gavin to become a better man, to listen to his wife more. And what I really like that, I think Lyssa Kay Adams, I believe is the author's name, I really like that she explored that there were things in Thea's past growing up and issues with her dad and her mom, but especially her dad specifically, that really harmed her and really affected her, and that affected, again, the marriage. Like I said, sometimes personal issues affect the marriage. And Thea realized that there was stuff in her own life, in her own heart, in her own background that needed to be dealt with before the marriage could be saved. She had to heal before the marriage could heal. And then Gavin had things that he had to work through personally before he could heal the marriage. And that happened in all three of the books. They all had past things that they really had to deal with parents and things like that. And I really, really appreciated that Lyssa talked about those things and addressed those things. And in the third Bromance Book Club, there was Undercover, and then I can't remember the other one. By the end of the third one, I was like bawling my eyes out, and I can't even remember exactly why. I think it was just them, just the healing that was happening in their lives personally that allowed them to then open up and be a part of this relationship and be so open and giving in the relationship. So my friend slash roommate came back. So I got a little bit distracted and interrupted. But anyways, I just wanted to finish saying, like, I really like that Lyssa Kay Adams had her characters exploring things from their past that really affected them in the present and would continue to affect them into the future if they didn't deal with them. And they had a point in the story where it kind of came to a head where either I have to deal with this now and get healing, or I have to continue just like ignoring it, burying it under the sand, and then continue having different issues and problems and stuff come up that I'm not willing to deal with because I haven't dealt with this one specific thing yet. So I really, really liked that about the books. I liked the romances. There are some pretty steamy scenes in the books, and I am trying to avoid books that just deal with most, like, that just have a lot of steamy scenes in them. But these ones, they had enough story and background and character development in them that I really, really enjoyed them. And I definitely think I can understand why people love them. Some people say like the second or the third book isn't as great as the first one, and I can understand that, but I enjoyed all three of them. And I love the Russian. They just call him the Russian. He's a Russian hockey player. And I think if there's a fourth book, I'm getting a feeling like maybe his book will be next if she does a fourth one, and I'd love to see that. I just love the Russian. He's just a big giant teddy bear, and I love him, and he's just so sweet and funny. And maybe one of the issues he deals with is his digestive and dairy issues with his digestion. You know if you know. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed this, and like I said, I wanted to kind of take the book, especially the first one, and talk about healing a marriage and how important that can be, and keeping a marriage intact when you can, and fighting for your marriage and for your family, especially since they already had children. And I just really, really, really appreciated that. And Lyssa Kay Adams, when she wrote the book, she didn't allow Liv's influence, the sister's influence, to color Thea's ultimate decision in the end. And in the end, Liv understood, like, she was still mad at Gavin, but she was like, okay, you're my sister's husband, and I'm going to just, whatever, you're here, we'll figure it out kind of thing, and I'll respect that you guys are together. So I really, really enjoyed that. Anyways, thank you for watching. Comment down below if you have read the Bromance Book Club, what your thoughts about it were, or if you plan on reading it or not, and let me know if there's any other books you think I should read that I could bring to like real world, real life issues and talk about, like this one with the marriage. And there's also, I want to do a couple other book reviews that have to like bring in like faith in the Bible and stuff like that from a secular book that I want to do and stuff like that. So let me know if you're interested in this kind of thing. What books you think I should read and review. Let me know if you're married, how long you've been married, if you have kids, things like that. And I'll talk to you next time. Thanks. Bye.